Good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever time of day is for you. My name is Justin. Coolip and that whole host of names you've always heard me joke about but never really say. We just have the trailer running in the background real quick. That way you have some type of visual. I want to go ahead and I kind of mentioned this idea in a previous video. We're going to be discussing worlds that are realities based on fantasies and worlds that are fantasies based on reality. Now, for shorthand, I'm just going to call these reality worlds and fantasy worlds. One of the things you're not going to see me do is use the word fictional. And it's because I dislike that word and because I think it's an inaccurate description of it. When Ansem the Wise and Mom talk about it being a fictional world, it's the only lens that they have to see the universe. So they can't imagine you passing on to another universe. Someone like Ansem the Wise, who's highly scientific, that's all they're going to see is the universe either being real or not real, fictional. That gets into a whole nother discussion, and the unreality thing I'm going to talk about on a later video. I think I'm going to do it next week from the time that this one goes live. So, Nomura has briefly said, I think it was for Final Fantasy 15, that he prefers worlds that are built on reality with elements of fantasy over fantasy worlds with elements of reality. So a lot of this has to do with that basic idea there and then moving forward from that basic idea. So, the symbol that they use, the sensor, I think is the right word. Quadratum, which was that X with the 4 dots on it. If we use that as a hint, and that's where the basis of this is coming from, we're going to have 4 reality worlds, 4 fantasy worlds. Now, the reality worlds, I think, are going to be hard science fiction. As odd as it sounds, Star Wars would be hard science fiction. The MCU has hard science fiction. And even Bedknobs and Broomsticks, I think is the name of the book in the movie, is still kind of hard. It has its hard reality. I mentioned the Bedknobs and Broomsticks because that's a live action movie, a lot like Mary Poppins. So we could see a wide variety of movies here, all under the Disney or Square Enix umbrella that might be included. I'm going to get around to how I think the movies are going to work a little bit more here in just a moment. But the fantasy worlds are probably going to be the Disney movies, like straight up Disney Pixar animated movies. Some of them that fit the theme of both perspective and a transition from one type of life to another type of life. Not necessarily death, because death is something different. Would be Moana. Inside Out is great about transitions and the memory and how you view the world. Literally a movie about perception. And Coco, I think, should be an automatic in. With this, I think we can expect 8 worlds outside of Shibuya, Quadratum, wherever we are in Quadratum. Whether or not that's going to be a large open cityscape or what, we're going to put that off to the side. I think we're going to end up back in the final world, and maybe even Kingdom Hearts again. That's going to come for a later theory video. But I think we might end up going back to Kingdom Hearts. I don't have a full list, but some of those movies that I mentioned seem like they're highly probable given the content of the movies themselves. Star Wars and the MCU specifically deal with a lot of real-world situations. How do we respond to a threat that is going to destroy New York and things like that? Very, very prevalent. Star Wars is all about the light versus dark. Now, I don't want to put it into a dichotomy like a lot of people have been really pushing for. So I think we're going to see more, if we do a Star Wars movie, I'm hoping we see more than one side. Not just light side, not just dark side, but maybe even that gray side for like some of the gray Jedi. I want to say, I guess we could enter the fantasy worlds through some type of icon. And this was something that I was thinking about. If we're treating this a lot like it's only a fictional world, which again, I don't like that term, we could potentially enter the fantasy worlds through their icons. So, a lot like what we did with Verum Rex, where we were literally pushed into the video game, we could jump through a poster, a book, even a game system. We might not be using the gummy ship. And then for the reality-based worlds, we might use the gummy ship to get to there. I wouldn't mind another dive system, like if we jump into a poster and we have to dive through the poster to get to the place. So still kind of using the power of waking without it being called the power of waking. It's just one of those things that I think is going to become much more prevalent as we have the discussions and as we learn more about the information. The interview with Tetsuya Nomura, the director and writer, is going to be coming out next week, and it's going to be the full interview. And it might answer some of these questions that we have now, going over some of these things. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see them. Since we're going to be dealing a lot with, if he keeps the theme to what he said he's going to do, we're going to see a lot of perception issues. It's the reason I don't like the word fictional to describe these universes. Because it doesn't really accurately portray what's going on. There's no perception to be had there. It's entirely, we see them as fictional. And that has to do with our point of view, the player, versus the point of view of the characters. Because it's all fictional from our point of view. From Sora's point of view, he's real, Yozora's fictional. From Yozora's point of view, Yozora's real, Sora's fictional. So it's going to be a very interesting thing to see with these reality worlds and these fantasy worlds, to see how they end up working in the long run. However, with that said, I do want to say, I hope you come around next week. I'm going to be publishing a new video. It's going to be about Star Wars and Kingdom Hearts 4. And that is going to cover over a few topics within it, not just the oh geez, what is the word I'm looking for? Over the Atsat foot that was found in the forest, but about other things like that. So, with that said, I want to say good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever time of day it is for you. May joy be to every last one of you. And have a good day. Have a really good day.